So again, so we have our esophagus and stomach. So we talked about the duodenum and gastric acid, but let's talk about the other way. So is it possible for things to move from stomach to the esophagus? Is it possible? Yeah, it's possible. Again, when you vomit, or if you have indigestion, or what, again, heartburn doesn't actually involve your heart, but why does it feel like your heart is burning? Well, where is your heart? Hey, your esophagus is right here just above the stomach. That's kind of around the area of your heart, right? So esophagus and duodenum. So think about those lower esophageal sphincter. If say it's not forming complete seal, say it's a little leaky or it's a little too relaxed and slack, well, the thing is that if you have a lot of those two sphincters, so again, you have all that gastric acid, but say this gastroesophageal sphincter isn't staying completely closed, that part of your stomach, or that the contents of your stomach, can go up and up into your esophagus. So esophagus. So this is what we call acid indigestion or heartburn. So again, why does it feel like the heart? Again, where is your esophagus? Again, right above your stomach. And that's in the general area in your where your heart is, right? So again, it's not your heart actually being affected, but remember your internal organs compared to your skin and your external body, it's kind of harder for them to really pinpoint where pain and uncomfortable feeling sensations are being felt. So this is why things in the esophagus, this kind of a heartburn, feels like it's actually in your heart. So again, this is why he's clutching his chest. He's not having myocardial infarction. He's just having a bad case of heartburn. So again, gastric acid reflux. So this process of going the wrong way from the stomach acid, the gastric acid bubbling up from the stomach and past the gastroesophageal sphincter into your esophagus. This is what we call acid reflux. So the heart and esophagus, this is also why you have this kind of confusion, why you have this heartburn feeling. They also share many of the same sensation pathways, so share many nerves. This is why your body is kind of bad at pinpointing exactly where these sensations are coming from. So there are similar symptoms and pains between heartburn and a heart attack. So again, clutching the chest, but the other things is like, this is why it's very similar. But thankfully, heartburn, like, should you check into the hospital for heartburn? No. But what can you take for heartburn? Well, you can take something very easy. You don't need a prescription. So Tums. So how do these work, these antacids? Hey, antacids, that sounds like anti-acid, right? So does do something to neutralize acid. So, all right, so Tums, how does that work? Well, Tums is actually one of the primary chemicals in Tums is calcium carbonate. Where do you find a lot of calcium carbonate? Eggshells and seashells. Again, the mineral found in these shells is mostly calcium carbonate. So, and also sucrose. So that's what Tums are, pretty much shells and sucrose. I don't know if they source their calcium carbonate from shells or eggshells, but I mean, that's pretty much what it is. Calcium carbonate plus sugar. That's what Tums are. So what happens when you add calcium carbonate and acid? Well, if you're stuck at home with kids and you want to teach them some at-home science, you probably did this as an elementary school, right? So say you have an egg that you're not really willing to eat. So again, put an egg in white vinegar, and then you get all these bubbles forming on the shell of the egg. So remember, the egg shell, the primary mineral is calcium carbonate. So you have a lot of acid in vinegar. The primary acid in vinegar is acetic acid. So carbonate plus acid, where does that sound familiar? Maybe the bicarbonate buffer system. So again, you have calcium carbonate plus sucrose. So we have carbonate plus acid forming calcium ions, carbon dioxide. So those bubbles are not just simple air, they're carbon dioxide. And the water you can't see because why? It's just mixing with all the water that's already there. So yeah, calcium carbonate plus acid being neutralized. So the acid is taken out of the equation, is being converted into carbon dioxide and water. Where does that sound familiar? Does it sound like the bicarbonate buffer system? So again, this is why you might take Tums for acid indigestion. Why? You're neutralizing the acid so that you're no longer having those symptoms of acid reflux. So again, this is why you take calcium carbonate. But again, calcium carbonate compared to just eating raw eggshells is a lot more palatable to eat crushed up eggshells with sugar. That's pretty much what Tums are. So yeah, so the thing is that, what if this happens on a regular basis? So